Joining us now on the line, our CAA basketball insider, Monica McNutt. Monica, how are you?
I am fantastic, Bobby. I can't wait till we get into a conference play officially.
Absolutely. Five weeks now into the non-conference play. A lot of storylines coming out of the conference. Let's begin with the front runner coming into the year, JMU. A very strong start in non-conference play, some big wins for them, and almost had Maryland on the ropes in the fourth quarter as well. So a great start for the Dukes. Just talk about what you've seen from them so far.
Well, you got to talk about the head of the snake and Kamaya Smalls. I think she's just been tremendous. Recently named to the Ann Myers Drysdale Award watch list. So super excited for what she continues to do. But I think what we love about James Madison is that year in and year out, they are a formidable opponent across women's basketball, and they obviously are representing the CAA in fine fashion. I mean, that's a team that just has such equal balance. They have got tremendous guard play. They've got strength and size. I think what they did to Maryland maybe surprised folks if you're not familiar with what that Duke program has done year in and year out. But for us, you and I, Bobby, we know that they are just continuing to do what they do.
Absolutely. Like you said, another strong start for the Dukes. Another team off to a strong start, the William & Mary Tribe, 7-2 overall. 4 true road wins for William & Mary, and that's very impressive from a team coming out of the CAA. What have you liked from the Tribe so far?
Well, you got to start talking players, and it starts with Victoria Reynolds. She's someone that has been tremendous and steady for that squad. But I think what we're seeing is as teams begin to get a little bit older, your juniors, your senior leadership, you've got freshmen that have an opportunity to really draw from folks that understand the rigmarole of the non-conference schedule, and then obviously as we approach the conference schedule. I think that's a tremendous amount of focus that we're seeing from the Tribe. They're definitely a squad that we're keeping an eye on to really kind of shake it up a little bit with some of the traditional powers that we think of out of the CAA.
Another team we want to touch on is Delaware, and the Blue Hens off to a slow start, but they have Nicole Anabosi returning to the lineup after missing the first 4 games of the season. Of course, Nicole missed all of last year. Do you expect the Blue Hens to kind of capitalize on the momentum that they've gotten from her return to the lineup? They're able to knock off Robert Morris, and what do you expect from the Blue Hens the rest of this non-conference action?
Here's what we love in sports across the board. It's not necessarily how you start, it's how you finish. I'm so excited I pulled out my earring here. Now, here's the beauty in how the Blue Hens have started. Silver lining, we'll call it, because nobody wants to see a player like Nicole Anabosi go down. But without her, you are forced to step into different roles. You're forced to bring some players who maybe not would have had those minutes had she been healthy into the fray. They have an opportunity to be baptized by fire. What do we look like without our power star? Having her back, someone that plays with as tremendous energy as she does, is able to affect the game at all 3 levels, particularly in the paint in terms of rebounding and her ability to score in the paint. Who would complain? You love to see Anabosi back. This team under Coach Adair, who's someone that I love dearly and is very tough on her players and expects the most out of them, but cultivates great relationships. I cannot wait to see how this momentum translates from the Robert Morris game. They've got Charlotte on their schedule out of Conference USA, and they've got George Mason out of the A-10 as well before they get to conference play. I think those are going to be fantastic tests. They are teams that match up well. Charlotte usually middle of the pack in the Conference USA, as well as George Mason in the A-10. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for this group to continue to gel and see what they will look like as a unit with a healthy Anabosi headed into conference play.
Obviously, it's great to see Nicole back on the court. She's been through a lot in the last year and a half with the devastating injury. What about other players across the league as you look through non-conference play so far? Who else has stand out to you so far in the early part of the season?
I got to go back to the Dukes and mention Kamaya Smalls. I think she's been tremendous at that point guard position for what the Dukes do. When you dig into those games, I mean, Jackie Benitez has also played very well for that squad. I think to be a point guard on a program who is often the underdog when you play the non-conference schedule is just another level of toughness and leadership, and that's what we've seen from Kamaya. She's on watch list, as we mentioned, and rightfully so. I think her gamesmanship, her ability to steady her team has been tremendous, and of course, her ability to score as well. I just love that she comes and plays the game of basketball in such a heady fashion. She's really not concerned about opponents. And then I think you have to talk about some of our freshmen. The most recent Rookie of the Week, Sorel Ineza from Hofstra. I think that she's got a lot of upside. I think the thing with freshmen is at this point, they're still kind of like, oh, I can play basketball at this level. And so when you start to see, not only can you play, but you belong and you can be an impact, then we're talking another level of confidence. I used to have coaches that said, you know, freshmen, you can't live with them or you can't live without them. But when you see your freshmen starting to take some strides and really make an impact on some programs, it's a strong sign.
Monica McNutt joining us once again. Monica, as we look around the league, obviously we've talked about JMU and William and Mary and some of the teams that have had a strong start. Who's kind of laying in the weeds a little bit, maybe don't have the best record right now, but could make a strong push here at the end of non-conference play, but better yet, who do you think is priming themselves for a conference run that maybe we're not looking at just yet?
So I'll say this, Bobby. Elon is a squad that I'm watching. Coach Charlotte Smith has done a great job with that group. She's not afraid to go and play big-time teams. I'm just curious to see how she can motivate this group, how we can put all those pieces together. And I think, although they're not necessarily high in the standings right now, I don't think you can ever really sleep on a Drexel squad that is constantly in the conversation by the time we get to March. So those are my two groups. I know when we did this one to open up the season, and I also was looking at Towson to see how they could carry over their momentum from last season as well under Coach Diane Richardson. I think those would be my three teams that I'm sort of looking at to see how things shake up. The beauty of the way that we play basketball in the schedule, non-conference can be a little rough, and it can be okay because it's about getting into conference play where we know coaches, players, and teams are so familiar with one another that it really can be anybody's night on a given game.
Monica McNutt, our CAA basketball insider. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you here in a few weeks as we wrap up non-conference play.
Thanks, Bobby.